Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of
Challenge Accepted.
For the second episode of Challenge Accepted, viewers submitted replays of ladder games played under the following constraint. When attacking, you may only kill workers, buildings, overlords, larvae, and queens. Our first game is a ZVZ. The Zerg accepting the challenge is called Cyan. We begin as most Zerg vs Zerg games begin, and that is with some combination of Zerglings and Banelings. However, instead of the usual high-stakes knife fight that is Ling-Bane warfare, these two greedy Banelings head straight for the drones, killing a grand total of none drones at all. Excellent. Perhaps the Banelings will be more effective when burrowed. However, Spore Crawler Imba. Not only did one Spore Crawler detect the burrowed Banes upon completion, but the other failed to build, signifying that there were indeed burrowed units beneath. 4 drones are killed anyway, and we're off to a blistering start. Next, Cyan tries a Baneling drop, but remembering the lesson from their last Baneling excursion, decides to drop outside the range of the Imba Spore Crawlers. Smart. The Banelings chase down some drones, get a couple of kills, and eventually give up and try to kill a lair. Emphasis on try. There's a lot of Banelings. In the meantime, a massive roach counterattack is incoming. Despite the fact that according to the constraint, Cyan is indeed allowed to kill units in defense, they take the other attack path, avoiding the enemy roaches and amassing spine crawlers instead. Luckily for Cyan, the Honorable Bobo completely walks past the spines and waits until they have completed to engage. Cyan very carefully avoids killing enemy units and stays within the constraint of the challenge, killing many worker and building. Before losing their spawning pool, Cyan manages to squeeze out more spines and lings, hoping to buy enough time with spines to finish off all of Bobo's buildings. At Bobo's last mining base, Cyan gets revenge and targets down Bobo's spawning pool, completely shutting down his ability to do anything but build workers for Cyan to kill. Unfortunately, Cyan makes the critical mistake of attacking the useless Baneling nest and evolution chambers instead of attacking the defenseless queen and drones, losing all but 6 of his Zerglings to broodlings from those buildings. Realizing that they're probably going to need more than 6 Zerglings to combat Bobo's 28 roaches, Cyan begins to rebuild the spawning pool. But Bobo has no vision of Cyan's base, and instead of killing Cyan right there and then, the roaches are sent home to defend. Cyan makes excellent use of the remaining Zerglings and picks off some drones, putting the drone count at 18 to 14 in Cyan's favor. But the real story here is that only 5 of Bobo's drones are actually mining. The rest have been sent away to hide, putting Cyan at a major economic advantage. Cyan gets a fully saturated base far ahead of Bobo and builds a Baneling nest because so far Baneling Harass has been very successful for Cyan. Bobo then makes an attack on Cyan's base but is pushed back by the spines. In the meantime, another Baneling Doom Drop is on the way to Bobo's main source of income. However, Spore Crawler Imba. The very same Spore Crawler that thwarted our hero's Baneling landmines now shuts down the Baneling drop. On the other side of the map, the Honorable Bobo waits until the spine crawlers are finished before attacking. Seriously, spines are not as Imba as spores. You can just go kill them. You could have killed them with pretty much any of these attacks. Come on, Bobo, don't fear the crawler unless it's a spore. Really? Bobo must have had some traumatic experiences involving spine crawlers as a young noob long ago, because this is getting kind of ridiculous. It seems like all Cyan has to do is put up a non-zero amount of spine crawlers somewhere near his base and Bobo will run away. And in the case that Cyan is in the process of building the spines, Bobo will still run away. Just the idea of a spine crawler existing somewhere in the near future is so frightening that Bobo will not engage. While Bobo was combating the irrational fear of spine crawlers, Cyan was killing the main base. So now we're back to square one. What's this? Cyan has loaded a single unit into an overlord. What could it possibly be? Islands. Looks like Bobo's all-ground force has been hard countered. GG, Bobo. Cyan's Ling drop snipes the Roach Warren while Bobo kills the 18 millionth spawning pool of the game. That animation is becoming disturbing. It's a bit excessive. Seriously. All that is left for Cyan are the island bases. Bobo gets Mutas up to contest the island expansions, but forgets one simple true fact. True fact that this game exemplifies more than any other game ever played. Spore Crawler Imba. But you know what Spore Crawlers can't kill? And it is after many Zerg drops, hidden bases, failed banelings, killed spawning pools, intimidating spines, imbispores, and a nidus worm that we say goodbye to our hero Cyan, who played a no swarm host 37-minute 15-second ZVZ without once killing an enemy unit when attacking. Well done, Cyan. Well done. But not everyone went for the long game on this episode of Challenge Accepted. In the land of Bronzes, where the shadows lie, one build to rule them all, one build to own them, one build to bring them all, and in the darkness 12 drone them! Or 11 in this particular case. Never mind! Wagner. Tired of ZVZ? No worries. This one, sent in by Eon Blue, is a PvP. We start things off with a proxy oracle. Oddly enough, the proxy oracleizing player is not the player accepting the challenge. The player who is accepting the challenge scouts a suspiciously high amount of gas and a suspiciously low amount of pylons and bases, leading to the successful prediction of Amidex's proxy Stargate and a relatively easy defense. Eon Blue immediately counterattacks into a base with only a mothership core for defense. Turns out it's pretty easy not to kill army units when none of them are around. In true cheesy faction, Amidex follows up his failed proxy oracle with a rush to DTs. Eon Blue manages to kill 11 probes before realizing Dark Templar are killing his stalkers and retreats. At home, Mr. Blue has decided to wall in his mineral line to protect his workers from the inevitable Dark Templar attack. However, there is one small flaw in his plan. The one path where the DT is most likely to go in order to reach the mineral line is left open, and the DT waltzes in and begins to administer the damages. Fortunately, an oracle finishes before Amidex can get too much damage done. Eon Blue then gives Amidex a taste of their own cheese, killing 8 workers with an oracle, leaving Amidex with only 13 probes to Eon Blue's 30. In a last-ditch effort, Amidex surges forward with the entirety of their forces, but to no avail. And with that, the last breath of the cheeser was spent, granting the noble Eon Blue not only with the satisfaction of shutting down both a proxy oracle and a DT rush, but in the same game completing the challenge and destroying an opponent with Harass. Our next game comes from none other than Ravi Fear Dragon Parikh. The game starts out with a particularly sneaky and agile Reaper that manages to snag 3 kills before getting away. This is followed up by a scary bio push that Fear Dragon just barely defends. And here is where the real game begins. Some people might fill up a warp prism with immortals, some with zealots, maybe even 4 stalkers or some DTs, but not Fear Dragon. He fills his warp prism with 4 high Templar. That's a total value of 400 minerals and 600 gas in 1 unit. Not even the dreaded Ultralisk drop is that expensive. There may not even be a single target in StarCraft 2 that is worth this many resources. What I mean to say is, Fear Dragon better not lose that warp prism. The Templar are dropped, the storms casted, and just like that, Rai is down 24 SCVs without a single army unit killed. On top of that, the warp prism escapes with only 11 hit points. While Fear Dragon waits for his fragile prism to regain shields, an enemy drop comes in scouting his DT tech and killing 15 workers. Unfortunately for Rai, Fear Dragon has learned to build probes and pylons, making the worker count 68 to 32 in Fear Dragon's favor. With his shields back to full, the Warp Prism makes another pass at a Terran mineral line, psionically electrocuting the SCVs to death. But just as they were about to leave, one of the Templar in the prism realized he'd left his sunglasses on the ground at the last stop. They were his favorite sunglasses and were signed by Justin Bieber, making them irreplaceable. So everyone had to go back and look for them. It was by this tragic dropping of sunglasses that the Belieber High Templar doomed his companions to death, as they were shot down before they could ever retrieve the priceless relic. Executor Fear Dragon responded to this terrible mistake by showing favor to the Dark Templar instead and warped in a squad to take out a base, which they did easily. After a short chase around the map, the Terran gave up and went home. Fear Dragon gives the High Templar another chance, but is sorely disappointed as they blow up without dealing any damage at all. For those of you keeping score, that's High Templar 2, Dark Templar 3. Fear Dragon sees Rai moving out on the map and responds by sending his DTs for another round. Despite a Widow Mine and a turret, the DTs get in, do their job, and get out, leaving Rai with a total of 18 SCVs actually mining to Fear Dragon's 80. Fear Dragon apparently thinks he's playing Zerg, or just really likes probes. This economic disparity launches Rai into an attack of desperation, as economic disparity oftentimes does. Ravi is outmatched and loses a battle on open ground, followed swiftly by his third base. In the meantime, a DT squad is sent in to start breaking the Terran base apart, focusing especially on the orbital commands. After 25 minutes and 35 seconds of accepting the challenge, the DTs make a move towards a newly produced Marauder. This could be the end of Fear Dragon's otherwise flawless challenge, but at the very last minute, Fear Dragon takes control of his DTs and saves himself from utter failure. With no mobile detection, Rai throws out the "I hate DTs," GG's, and exits the game. Final score, Dark Templar 5, High Templar 2. Our next game comes from AoE Freak, who you might expect to be the Protoss player on the map, but no, it is the Zerg. And he's sending out an unusually early drone scout. Or is he? In a creative interpretation of the constraint, AoE Freak has decided to try and kill his opponent by defending his base, which has been conveniently placed inside his enemy's base. This means that he will receive no failure for killing enemy army units here, as he's not attacking, but defending. Just very aggressively. "This is my base now," said AoE Freak, and Protoss reluctantly left their homeland as the Zerg explorers destroyed their settlements and polluted their land with strange substances, forcing them to move further and further west in a search of a land they could call their own. They built up a small army and made an attempt to fight back, but it was ultimately futile. Then came the great gold mineral Zergling rush of 1632. In which many a Zergling went home disappointed to find that there were indeed no gold minerals on the west coast of the map, but managed to destroy a pyramid-shaped building or two in the process. In the end, with Zerg explorers expanding both from the south and from the east, the Protoss made one final push before having to GG, earning AoE Freak the most creative interpretation of the Challenge Award. Before we get to our most bronze game of the challenge with Brojack, I'd like to let you all know that if you want to be on the next episode of Challenge Accepted, send a replay to JaKaTaKtv@gmail.com of you playing a ladder game, ranked or unranked, team 1 versus 1, or free-for-all under the following constraint. Whenever you attack, your attacking force must contain at least one of each unit your race can build. The only exception is the mothership and mothership core, which cannot exist in the field at the same time, so you'll have to pick one. That's all for me. Take it away, Brojack. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the most bronze game of the challenge with your favorite Brojack, me. Today's most bronze game of the challenge award goes to Dujugu, which I have no idea what that means. His opponent is Foliage. So basically, we're going to see if whatever a Dojugo is stronger than a level 1 potted plant, which is basically what Foliage is. As most games start out, absolutely nothing happens for 9 minutes because both noobs are scared that they're actually playing a really for real game of StarCraft against an actual opponent, not realizing that the other person they're matched against is also a noob. Noobs. Anyway, Dojugo sends some Zerglings and kills his sentry. So, literally the first time he attacks, he fails a challenge. Dojugo didn't say which player was accepting the challenge in the name of the replay, so at this point I thought it was actually Foliage, seeing as how he managed to follow the rules longer than the Zerg, and is doing some cool sentry harass thing over here. Sick force fields, bro. Pod would be impressed. At this point, the Zealots start wailing on Zerglings without any regard for the challenge, so I figured maybe this isn't even a challenge accepted replay at all. Maybe nobody even accepted, like, any challenges, and this is just a game of StarCraft where some harass happened. Contrary to popular belief, the constraint for this episode of Challenge Accepted wasn't sending a replay of StarCraft where some harass happened. Just saying. And it looks like I wasn't even too far from the truth there. Check out all these fails. fail, 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 fail. Couple more fails over here. Some Tempest fails over here. Zerglings still count as a fail. Hey, what I say about Zerglings? Watchtower fail. Another watchtower fail. Just because it's at a watchtower doesn't mean it's not a fail. Zerglings on drones can't gather minerals, so it still counts as a fail. Nuclear fail. Fail, 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 fail. This is just a straight up engagement. Another straight up engagement over here. Looks like you just kinda gave up there. Definitely a fail. Siege tank fail. Starbow fail. Another starbow fail. 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 Incognitio TV on the beats. Shout out to all my replay submitters out there, especially the ones who label their replays with titles and send the file as an attachment. You know who you are. Special shout out to all my Patreon supporters out there. Without you, this video would not exist. My name is JaKaTaK, and as always, thanks for watching. If you have an idea for a video you'd like me to do, please leave it in the questions, with the comments, and the criticisms, and the concerns, and anything else beginning with letter C, and anything at all beginning with letter C. Just put it in that comment section below. Rate, subscribe, like, and all kind of other things that I might be able to accost you to at the end of a video. I'll see you soon. I'm out.